It's time for the State of Pro Wrestling, scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. And now, from parts unknown, your tag team champions of the world, John Orlando for the PVD cast and Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos.
Ding, ding, ding. I could just see now as we're getting prepped up in Gorilla for the show. I'm the crazy one in the back, trying to psych myself up, and you're the one just like, trying to calm me down. Then you just realize after 10 seconds, and you know what? I'm just going to chop the crap out of him. Pop, 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 pop. Just get him psyched up, get him ready, just to make him even more psycho before he gets out of the ring. How about that?
I like that. That's probably an accurate description.
There you go. But it's the State of Pro Wrestling. It is Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos and the Lakers Fast Break, along with my good friend, Mr. John Orlando from the PVD Cast, and Not Talking Wrestling. They talk Matlock on Mat Talk. So go ahead and check out all of our shows. Like and subscribe. It is truly appreciated. This is also going on the PVD Cast Facebook page right now. So please enjoy our talk as we recap our time with WrestleMania and where the WWE goes from here. John, been a busy weekend. I know for me, with WrestleMania here in town, I know I got to experience some of that with WWE World and the WWE Superstore, which I'll describe here in a moment. But how are you doing, my friend? And how was your weekend watching WrestleMania?
Well, I'm doing well. And I just got to say that WrestleMania 41 was something, all right.
It was something. I'll say, I'll agree with you on that. It was something.
I feel, and I, we're going to talk about it in depth on this episode, but I feel like it was a little uneven. That night one was kind of a little boring. Night two was a little bit better, was overall better, just point blank. And so a little uneven, but overall, I'm excited to talk about it. I couldn't wait today. When I woke up this morning, I started counting down the hours till we could sit down and chat about our thoughts, our opinions, our insights on WrestleMania 41.
Absolutely. I'll first, before we get into the match-by-match discussion, overall, I can tell you for Vegas, it was a great success. It was reported earlier today that WrestleMania, as far as monetary, as far as social media, as far as all the barometers, all the metrics, it was a huge success. Whether or not it was a huge success around the world on Netflix, it remains your choice out there. But I can tell you here in Vegas and for Peacock as well, because in the U.S., this will probably be the final year. I think it's going to be shown on Peacock, but around the world was shown on Netflix. But I can tell you, as far as money, as far as the clicks, as far as everything being all eyes on Vegas, it was a huge success. A purported before, or excuse me, just after Steve Austin ran into the barricade. We'll talk about that too. We must talk about that because I don't know. Everything is like, not entirely seen to be believed in some people's eyes, but it was over 120,000 people, 60,000 plus each and every night at the Allegiant Stadium for both Saturday and Sunday nights, not to mention all the things that went on. WWE World Convention, the Hall of Fame, the fact that they had SmackDown at the T-Mobile Center, Raw at the T-Mobile Center, NXT Stand and Deliver on Saturday morning, plus NXT tonight. A great success for the WWE here in Vegas. I can tell you firsthand, my friend, when I went down to visit WWE World and the WWE Superstore, it's just amazing to see how no one can fault them for what they put out there. They did not skip. I've been on some conventions where they skimp and they don't give you much for your return on investment. That is not the case here. If you were willing to dish out the money, they were willing to give you something to experience, whether it was at WWE World, WrestleMania, the NXT, all the other stuff, the Tony Hinchcliffe roast of WrestleMania, all this other stuff. If you're willing to spend the money, they gave you something for a return on your investment. But when you go through it, for instance, I did tell you I didn't get comps for WrestleMania, so I didn't get to go see it live. But I did get this as far as a comp for this poster right here of WrestleMania, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. This exact poster was being sold at WWE store for 35, 35, 40. Well, to a tax, $40 for that same poster. And that was the cheapest of the posters that they had there. The other posters were about $10 to $15.
Holy cow.
And that doesn't even tell you, because if you're there, the Superstore itself, the world, that was a great presentation and a great convention or space experience that they did. I give my kudos for them to the WWE for what you paid for. It was definitely something that I think a lot of people should have experienced. But the Superstore was absolutely huge. The amount of space they did, every conceivable black WWE shirt, and I emphasize black WWE shirt, was there on display. But the prices were just outrageous, man. So they were getting it. There was a huge crowd. I figured I'd go on Monday. I figured I'd go, and then, because they were closing early, 3 is the last day. You figure with most conventions, it's going to be a lot cheaper, discounted, clearance. Most conventions, they do that because they don't want to take the stuff with them. Oh no, my friend. Full price. They had a full crowd. They had lines everywhere waiting to go ahead and pay for them. They had shirts as far as the eye can see. $50 shirts, $40 shirt, $90 hoodies. Everything's full. If you go to the online for those same things, they're all on sale for $10 to $20 less. It's $10 to $20. I looked at it. I was on the phone looking at it as I'm looking at, for instance, Cactus Jack Chelsea Green shirt, because she's ripping off Cactus Jack with the Wanted Dead or Alive. I know she probably got permission, but anyways, I'm not. Again, I was just using that as an example. It's $15 cheaper if you go and buy it online for the same exact thing than what you see there, or $20. I don't know. It's close. These shirts were closing in on $50, $40, $35.
But they still had a line, right? You said it.
Still had a line.
They still have a line.
People buy. People walking around with the merchandise, getting ready to walk to the cash registers. There's a memorabilia section in and of itself, and there was a line just to get into that. That's where, I told you about the poster. I was, comparatively speaking on that. Yeah. So again, dollars wise, they made an absolute fortune, an absolute mint. I know something I texted to you over the weekend. Is WWE pricing itself out of its success? We'll talk about if it's booking itself out of success here in a little bit. But I would love to tell you that they are. But the problem is, for WrestleMania, from what I've seen at WrestleMania, they're still not pricing themselves out of success, because if they're able to get it, you got to commend them for it, even though I don't want to pay it.
Well, my girlfriend said to me months ago, why is WrestleMania during Easter? Why is it on Easter? I'm like, because they do not care.
They did not. They wanted to avoid the Final Four. That was the only thing Nick Khan said, because when they did it in Indianapolis, I think, or whatever the last one was, whenever that they had a conflict with Final Four, that killed their business. Not killed, but it put a dent in their business per se. But yeah, they didn't care about the Easter holiday. I mean, what was going on? Coachella was going on during Easter. WrestleMania was going on during Easter. Sinners made almost $50 million. Sinners on Easter weekend made almost $50 million. Sinners. Great movie, by the way, but Sinners. It makes $50 million on an Easter weekend. So that tells you, I think, all you need to know, John, about how WrestleMania people just were willing to go and experience it, and they were willing to pay any price from the hundreds of dollars. I know that secondhand tickets they kind of decreased by the time the show started. It was as high as about I think 350 and 450 for first and second day tickets. They went down to about 150 and 250 respectively between Saturday and Sunday, as far as that's concerned. So you were able to get tickets a lot cheaper as it got close to the event, but still, they were making a ton of cash. And you know what? You have to consider by all the different metrics a great success, John.
Well, and this is the other thing that I would love to know about. I'm sure that we could probably find this out in a few weeks, but I would like to know what was the amount of money, the amount of profit that the city of Las Vegas made from hosting this event?
Well, remember they pay. These cities now pay for the rights to WrestleMania, so they pay
Okay.
several $1 million for that. But yes, the tourism authority will probably tell you at some point in time what the estimated return for the hotel rooms, for all the money spent, casino. I think there should be something that comes out. If I remember it, WrestleNomics usually is good. I give them props. They're usually good as following up on that. So yeah, if it does come out as far as how much the city, or estimated generated, around how much it made, we'll let you know. But yeah, the streets were flooded. I walked the strip on Monday early morning, not early morning, but early afternoon, and tons of people wearing shirts from WrestleMania. These are not talking about the shirts that you could buy down from 2 or 3 years ago. I'm talking about the triple threat Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins shirts. They're all over. I just saw one today when I was at the pet store. Lady was still wearing it. I don't know if that means she's been wearing it nonstop, but guess on that. But again, these are shirts I saw up and down that they were just bought. The Yeet shirts, the championship shirts. I told you in my email after the championship matches, they already had sent the email on how to buy those brand new shirts because they had them already geared up. Now, in a profession like professional wrestling, that's not too surprising because the matches are predetermined. But you know what I mean. But they're ready to take your money, and WWE was prepared to take your money. And Vegas, like I said, from what I saw on the strip, from a lot of people still being there, even on Monday, and the 120,000 combined attendance for both Saturday and Sunday, plus the house shows at T-Mobile, plus TNA at the Cox Pavilion, plus the 30 different shows from the Palms to smaller locations, plus the Fontainebleau hosting shows, all that stuff, John, you have to consider for the city and for WWE a huge financial success.
And the one thing that you did just mention a few moments ago was this idea of the WWE pricing themselves out of a lot of fans. But I think that has to start to happen, and it has to start happening in a rapid way, in a rapid fashion, for them to start realizing that they have. I mean, you can look at other sports. I mean, other sports organizations, they are rising up their ticket prices as well. People talk about how, it used to be that you could take a family of 4 to a baseball game, the MLB, and have a great time. And now it takes, several hundreds of dollars. I've had a friend that took a week's vacation to Disney World with his family, and that was the price of a small car. I mean, so things are getting more expensive when it comes to our entertainment dollar. But I don't see that the WWE is going to pump the brakes until they start seeing a decline in their revenue. At that point is when they will start to see if they've priced themselves out of their fans' pocketbook, so to speak.
To me, it's getting very close to that, but I do think that day will come when they start to see a major pushback from fans. But from what I saw this past weekend, my friend, it wasn't here in Vegas, and it wasn't here this past weekend. That's for sure. Huge return of success, and WWE gets the credit for it and should be lauded for that. But we'll get here in a second on the matches themselves. Once again, it is the state of pro wrestling. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford along with John Orlando, my tag team partner. We're reviewing WrestleMania 41 here in a second, but the major news happened just before. I don't I don't know about the timing of it. I wish they had said it on Friday or Thursday leading into this whole weekend. It would have been just probably a little bit better if they kind of just gave it its own platform. They kind of did and they kind of didn't, because they were still right there in the middle of WrestleMania when they did it, just as far as the pregame show. I wish they would have done it on Thursday leading into, this whole weekend. But WWE has acquired AAA, and going forward, we'll be running joint shows, including a return of the Worlds Collide, which is one of the best pay-per-views of all time from the early 90s. Absolutely fantastic pay-per-view if you get a chance to watch it. They'll be bringing it back for the Los Angeles Forum, a place I know so well, in June, early June. So looking forward to seeing what's going to develop into that, and the relationship between AAA and how that's going to be incorporated going forward with the WWE. I'm curious, though, what will develop for this relationship with AAA and WWE. So, John, bringing you back in now, my friend.
Okay.
Quick question to ask you on this. AAA, WWE, we have seen these acquisitions not always go so well. A part of it because of whatever, talent, or whatever, just the way they were pushed, or just the fact is Vince McMahon didn't put his whole energy into it, just did half-ass efforts. Let's just be honest with it. WW, that could have gone along a lot better as far as after they acquired them, but they didn't. And now essentially they're their own YouTube channel that WWE owns. And so, that is what it is now for WCW. ECW, you saw that homogenized version try to last on for a couple more years after the ECW one night stand. And we all saw what happened to that. I don't know. I don't have high hopes for this thing. I think at some point in time, AAA is just going to get sucked up by the WWE. I understand why they're doing it, to be more approachable, to be more involved and integrated into the Hispanic community, and also as well South American countries. Your thoughts on the WWE purchasing AAA?
First question, and I have not found this answer in any of my research today. Was AAA having economic issues?
My guess is yes.
Okay.
But again, I don't know 100% if that's going to be the case, but my guess is yes. Just seeing the comments that were made by the leaders of AAA during the course of that press conference, as you know, I believe Antonio Pena, who was long the owner of AAA, I think passed away, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So his widow was actually, if you saw, she was the lady with the glasses in that presentation, and who didn't say anything, probably because either she could only speak in Spanish, or she just chose to remain silent. But she was there right there in front, along with two other representatives of AAA. My guess is that it's financial issues. But that's just something that maybe I've seen over years as far as the returns, the number of the crowds, what they want to do. You don't go to you don't negotiate this kind of deal without saying, you know what, we need something more, and we need someone to help us get there. And I'm assuming that that's the case. But that also means for everybody out there that WWE, if they have acquired the AAA in full, they've acquired their rights. They've acquired as far as the name going forward, but most importantly for people down the road in the future, as we see how they're utilizing it now, that also means the AAA tape library, which they could utilize that as well to their great advantage. So your thoughts again on this? I think it's a good move for the WWE, but again, it might be the death knell, not right away, but it might be the death knell for AAA based on what we saw with WCW and ECW. John.
I'm going to go and say that Triple H and those in charge, Nick Khan, etc., have learned from the mistakes of ECW, WCW. I think that
So.
I have faith that they will keep AAA for the most part. There's going to be things that they change, of course. I mean, understandable. I think when any corporation buys out another corporation, there's things that get changed, and this is no different. I think that the AAA product is going to be pretty much very, very similar to what the fans of AAA are already interested in, or already a fan of, excuse me. And I think it'll be just enough of something different to pull in a lot of new fans and casual fans to AAA. Am I mistaken, but wasn't AEW working with AAA not too long ago?
AEW is working with CMLL.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is AAA's main rival. So I believe that they're in league with CMLL, just like they're in league as far as was it with New Japan, as far as AEW, and then WWE is in with not Stardom, but the other companies involved. Yeah, again, they've whatever company that AEW is not involved with, usually WWE is involved with, and vice versa. So Monty Gold, we talked about before on this show. So with that in mind, John, again, before we get into the full WrestleMania breakdown, your thoughts finally on AAA. You say that this is going to be something, hopefully, that they've learned from their mistakes. You'll have to forgive me if I'm a little bit more hesitant on that. Again, 5 years down the line, are we still talking about AAA as an entity? I have my doubts, but again, we will see. I do know that they will obviously getting the video rights, the tape rights, the film library of AAA could be something very valuable, but we'll see how this plays out, John.
Well, and look, I think you hit the nail on the head too earlier when we first started talking about this topic, is that Vince McMahon is not around now. And that's why I have some faith that things will be, like I said, much, much smoother in the AAA partnership. I mean, look at it this way. We have so many WWE superstars that you probably need to kind of maybe you could start sending people to different places, if that makes sense. You could certainly, Akira Tozawa could go work the luchadors in AAA, and give him something new to do and maybe spur some. I see are positives. Again, hopefully they stay positive. I really do feel that Triple H and Nick Khan, they have an idea of how to work with other wrestling companies much differently than in the past.
We will see, my friend. We will see. But that was the major news coming out before WrestleMania itself. But then we get to the big event, my friend. Before that, that same day, NXT had their stand and deliver. I thought that was pretty solid as far as an event is concerned. But again, it got overshadowed. I still think NXT stand and deliver. All this stuff, John, should take place on separate nights. NXT stand and deliver on a Wednesday. Even if it's against Dynamite, I don't really care. Or you could do Wednesday, the Hall of Fame. Thursday, stand and deliver. Friday, SmackDown. Then go into WrestleMania. Then go Raw, and then go NXT, and then bring it on out. Or start with NXT, leave with NXT. I just stand and deliver being on that Saturday morning, I think really hurt them because, again, it talks about another day of watching 7-8 hours of wrestling. And that's just, I think, a little bit too much for a lot of people, including myself and yourself, to handle. So I don't know how you felt about that. But again, all these shows, I don't mind all these shows that they're putting on. I don't mind it. the Undertaker Dead Man show as well. I don't mind that, John. I just wish they would space it out a little bit better so that these fans can experience these things all in good time if they're devoted WWE fans.
Yeah, because as you're trying to get from one place to the other, and you're dealing with millions of people in Las Vegas, it definitely would make me be very, very like anxious that I was missing stuff. I paid money to see the Undertaker show, and I'm now going to be 10 minutes late because of this, that, and the other.
Mhm.
I don't totally see where you're coming from. That spacing them out, organizing the shows a little bit better would help the fans. But again, we go back to what
Plus,
we've
there's
talked about.
WrestleCon at the Westgate. There's like I said, those 30 independent shows. WWE should not. I don't think it's going to concern itself for that. But again, spacing this out over the entire week would have been
Mhm.
so much more advisable.
Exactly. But again, they have your money. So
That's true.
not to be Mr. Negativity, but they have your money already. So if you are late to the Undertaker show, or you are late to the Hall of Fame, or you are late to Mania Night 1, stinks to be you. Sorry, but we already got the cash. So that's on you to figure out how to get from point A to point B.
And it's so funny because the NHL, the Golden Knights, were going on the same time as WrestleMania Night 2, right on the other side of the freeway, literally half a mile away from each other. So, yeah, that made for a lot of fun. Plus, the usual Sunday night stuff that goes on the strip. But it is, of course, WrestleMania 41. I want to bring it to you now. We're going to get into it here. It is, of course, John Orlando from the PBD Cast, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. We're still here for a little over a half hour, so cannot thank you enough for supporting us. Like and subscribe to all of our shows. It would be truly appreciated. WrestleMania 41, again, overall, a financial success. Booking wise, Triple H, we have lauded on this show several times as far as the direction of his company. This might be a bump in the road, my friend, overall, when you look at it from afar and you see the decisions that were made. I don't agree with a lot of the decisions that were made. And I'll just say that going forward. And the main event, I've already told you off air, I think is one of the worst, if not the worst, in WrestleMania history. And I'll explain why here. But we'll go ahead and leave that one for last. We'll get started with day one. Day one kicked off with a World Heavyweight Championship match on Saturday with Jey Uso defeating Gunther. Jey Uso is very much a dividing lightning rod because he connects so well with the crowd with the yeet and the yeet shirts and all that stuff. And obviously they see the metrics of that as far as what sells, who gets over. But to a large percent of the wrestling purists, per se, like us, he has never really gotten over with us on a singles basis. He does not excite me. His matches do not move me. His connection or his charisma or anything, his interviews don't get me excited. His charisma with just the thing doesn't give me any type of interest in him at all. And this match, I think, in my opinion, only served to hurt Gunther. Now, you made him tap out. You told him you got to go out there and you got to tap out to a guy that I'm not sure can bring you a quality match time and time again. We saw him at last year's WrestleMania totally stink up the joint with his brother. This year, it was because of him and Gunther, they worked an okay match. It wasn't anything truly memorable. The only thing memorable is that Gunther taps out, and now on Monday on the Raw has to go ahead and choke out Michael Cole and Pat McAfee to trying to gain some semblance of his heat back. Your thoughts, John Orlando, on Gunther versus Jey Uso?
Well, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Gunther versus Jey Uso was a Raw match. It was not a WrestleMania match. I feel like they went way too long. I feel like this match could have been a little bit better if they just cut some of the time. I mean, it went 16:30. So
I think we'll say that over and over again as far as if it could have been better if they cut the time.
Yeah, agreed. And we're going to get to a match that people are probably going to lambaste me for my comments on it, but and the time. But I'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, overall, I don't agree with the direction that they have Gunther going now, especially after last night, because I do not, under any circumstances, want to see Pat McAfee take on Gunther. Would be the stupidest storyline that they've had in quite some time. Pat McAfee is a great athlete, and he had some decent
He's a
matches.
punter. No. He's a punter. Let's not even put the great out. He's an NFL punter. Let's not even go there as far as a great athlete's concerned.
Okay. So we'll just say that I don't want to see that. I don't think the fans want to see that. Nobody wants to see the commentary team wrestle. No one. I mean, So I just hope that they figure out another person that could come to the aid of Pat McAfee and be an actual wrestler. Now, who that is, I don't know. But they could bring somebody up maybe from NXT or something that they could be the substitute for Pat McAfee in the ring, but still have McAfee attached to the storyline. But I have a feeling they're not going to go that way. I think they're going Pat versus Gunther, and that's, again, that does nothing to reestablish the villainous character of Gunther by having him beat up Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. So I agree with you on that. That was stupid.
Yeah, just to leave it. You'll be seeing this more and more, is how these matches left a bad taste in our mouth. We'll go ahead into the next match. The New Day defeated the War Raiders, became new champion. I will say for the New Day, they have a record number of title wins in the WWE. Congratulations to them. I kind of like their heel turn. It's nice. I don't think they're like the superimposing villainous heels that all really care about. In fact, that whole tag division, I don't think I don't think anyone out there really just hold high hopes for them as far as the entire tag division. There are no tag teams that really anybody gets behind, but the New Day, with their villains turn, seem to be the freshest after all these years of anyone out there. And I don't know if that speaks better of them or ill of the rest of the division, but that's probably the best choice, is to have them the champions for now.
Yeah, I just there's no build to this as far as I'm concerned. I know that they had some interactions on Raw or SmackDown, but the build, there's nothing for me in this match. I could care less. I was very bored with it. Again, another match that could have been on one of their regular shows. But I do like the New Day as heels. I think that that's something a little bit refreshing. It's something that they could do different. I enjoyed a few months ago when their family was involved in the storyline. I thought that was a good comic twist. But yeah, overall, this match was a snooze fest.
After that, Jade Cargill defeated Naomi. I don't think there was any doubt on that. The only thing is, when I say this, the Jade Cargill versus Naomi match, you talk about matches that should have been a Raw or SmackDown. I think this match should have been on a Raw or SmackDown headlined, a main event, one of those shows, and led to what should have been Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair. I really think that they had an idea. They liked the idea. We liked the idea of where it was going as far as the eventual breakup of Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. But it was supposed to lead. It looked, if you're trying to span this out or time this out best, the best way to say it is that, yes, it should have timed itself out with Jade Cargill facing off against Bianca Belair, but that didn't happen. So this to me was pretty much an afterthought. How they lengthened it out to 9 minutes or so, maybe that was probably not the best, but I know a lot of people are talking about Naomi's heel turn being pretty good, and the fact that she was crying up a storm, that was very effective. I get that. I understand, appreciate it, but all that should have been portrayed on the regular shows. The match itself should have been on regular show, and we should have seen Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair.
agreed on all those points, except for Naomi's heel turn has not been good. Whoever is saying that, I don't know, they must be high or drunk or something, because this heel turn has been awful. It's the worst heel turn I've seen in a while. Naomi's just not believable as this vindictive, evil heel. I'm sorry, she's just not. It just doesn't work for me. Yeah. So how come they didn't go the route of Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill, which is what everybody wanted to see, is beyond me. I don't understand the thinking behind that whole storyline.
Then you had Jacob Fatu defeating LA Knight. He is the new U.S. champion. We've talked about this before. I think they blew LA Knight as far as his opportunity to be at a level when he had huge popularity 2 years ago. I really think they should have cashed in on it then with a world title run. I also think they should have cashed in on Sami Zayn's huge lightning in a bottle fan reaction with a title win over Roman Reigns back in the day, but they didn't listen to me either. I just don't think that there's much else for LA Knight to go to do, because I don't see him ever getting to the point where he becomes at a top level, because the company didn't put everything behind him. And just comes down to that. So Jacob Fatu, they seem to be very high on. He is of the Samoans that were in that Solo Sikoa entourage. I think the Bloodline per se, the Bloodline 2.0, I think he is the most has the most promise. So they're putting this title, and I don't know if they're going to what level, because he's been protected. So I don't know at what level do they see him at. Do they see him getting to another level even more than what he is, or do they just see him where he's at? That, I think, is the biggest question coming off that turn. But for LA Knight, I just see him drifting down a little bit lower and lower on the card, and just see it as a missed opportunity by the WWE to really maximize, like they're doing now with Jey Uso. Despite our thoughts on Jey Uso, they are maximizing his popularity per se, and something they should have done with Sami Zayn and LA Knight and didn't do. So they're doing now what they didn't do with those two guys. But for LA Knight right now, the loss, I just don't see him achieving any kind of real high level success from here on out. Well, I hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong on that one. I'll just say that.
Well, I was going to say, I think the thing is, for me, that was surprising was, like, Jacob Fatu doesn't need that title. No, like, he is over. He has that character down pat, and he's done so well with that particular characterization that he didn't need this title. They could have let LA Knight hold on to it. In fact, if you wanted to, I don't understand why they wouldn't have disqualified Fatu for doing something vicious. And then, that feeds into, this man's insane. He's the werewolf. He's crazy. He will go run through a brick wall. And then still kept the title on LA Knight. I think LA Knight probably is unfortunately going to be stuck in the mid card and be one of these WWE superstars that have 4 or 5 U.S. title reigns, or 3 or 4 U.S. title reigns and 2 intercontinental reigns, kind of like the Miz treatment, if you will. I think that's where he's destined to be, which is sad because the guy is super talented. He's got himself an aura about him. He knows who he is. He really does deserve better.
El Grande Americano, a.k.a. Chad Gable, defeated Rey Fenix, and they did this on the day that the WWE purchased AAA. So what a way to celebrate Lucha, by having a luchador lose to a American putting a steel plate in his mask. So, yes, especially Rey Fenix, who was a late replacement for Rey Mysterio, who I believe tore his groin, was the report on the previous night, SmackDown. So he was out, which is sad because he lives, I believe, in the Las Vegas area. So, it's always good to see that the wrestlers that are here locally be able to perform, but he wasn't able to. Rey Fenix was a replacement. Rey Fenix just came in and already he's losing, so that doesn't speak well for him. He's going to have to team up with his brother over here shortly, and they're going to have that. If the Lucha Brothers reform, that could maybe spice things up for the tag division. But for now, having him lose so cleanly to El Grande Americano, I just see this as a match I could have seen on Raw.
I really like, though, the character of El Grande Americano. Like, it's dumb, it's silly, but it works for me, and I like putting the piece of metal in the mask too. I didn't have as big of a problem of putting Chad Gable, will say, over Phoenix, because again he used the foreign object, so there's that out that Ray Phoenix logically can say, well, wait.
But you just brought Ray Phoenix. You just brought Ray Phoenix in, and already you're defeating him. It just. We'll talk about that in a sec. I have issues with that. That's very much AEW. AEW loves to bring in name wrestlers and then just have them lose the first time out. See Josh Alexander. But, that this was something where I was kind of disappointed. But again, we'll see here in a second, because I'll have another issue with bringing in a wrestler for the first time. And really just, even though this wasn't the first time for Ray Phoenix, it was something where I thought you were going to give him a push similar to what his brother was going to get, and obviously that's not going to be the case, Sean.
But I did think this match was pretty good. I other than the finish, but I thought it was very good. They managed to keep it going back and forth, and Chad Gable held his own in that ring, wrestling that lucha style. So I thought it was very good. Now,
all right.
As for what's not very good, I know what you're going to say next. So.
Okay, well, I think I could just start with the word cluster, and I'll just say that it is Tiffany Stratton defeating Charlotte Flair, and after their off the script conversation that they had live in the ring, what did I say? Kaiser's in my DMs. Oh yeah, that's right. Watch out. I think Kaiser might be in your DMs too, there, John. But be that as it may, they did have a match. It looked like going in, they were not going to be working on the best of interest with each other. But then again, they have the match, and instead of bringing all this heat and anger and all this to what could have been maybe a very anger-filled match, similar to what I think Charlotte Flair could have did previously with Ronda Rousey. As far as that anger, because Ronda Rousey's only good matches were with Charlotte Flair, and they were only in the street fight matches, those type of matches where there was really a lot of anger that you could express on that. But yeah, no, they just cooperated through a 19-minute snooze fest, and unfortunately, we had to suffer through it. But I do think that Tiffany going over was probably the best move, because Charlotte. People just start, she came back. She was brought back with those vignettes. Nobody likes her now. Yeah, people are just like, what she has to do now is rebuild her character, not to make herself a fan favorite by any stretch. Just say, you know what? I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to embrace your hatred, and I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to become the biggest heel in the women's division. That's what she needs to do, and I'm hoping she'll take from it. But I'm not sure she will. I'm not sure because she obviously wants to be liked. But you see that she still wants to be liked. But I think she should just embrace who she is as the fans see her and run with it right now, John.
Well, the vignettes that they hyped, I don't think did what they were supposed to do.
They didn't do her any favors.
No, they didn't. Like, why is she not like? Why is there not a shot of a Rolls Royce pulling up and she gets out and she talks down to everybody and hypes up her return, or her in the gym, like rebuilding herself so that she can come back and be the queen of the WWE women's division? None of that. They were the most blasé vignettes I've seen in a long time. This match didn't seem like those two really were in sync. We had 13 moonsaults, I think. I lost count. Just overall, an absolute disaster of a disaster of a match. But
exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad that Tiffany won. She deserves it. I think that she is the future of that women's division. She's clearly talented enough. But yeah, overall, this 19-minute car wreck, train wreck, whatever you want to call it, was absolutely abysmal. That's all I can say.
We're going to go ahead and knock this out real quickly as far as the rest of the cards, so we can spend plenty of time we can on the final main event. But the main event on Saturday was the triple threat match between Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. It turned out after some tit for tat and mind games by Paul Heyman, he eventually sided with Seth Rollins, recreating the Shield with the chair, and all as far as the Shield breakup with the chair and all that. But also CM Punk getting hit with chairs as well, and Roman Reigns getting defeated by Seth Rollins in this triple threat main event. The only thing I say is it's great that as far as the twist is concerned, and also the pairing with Seth Rollins, with Braun Breaker, with Paul Heyman. But what are they going to do with it? Let's see. What are they going to do? Let's run with this. The thing is, you have them now all together. Let's run with this now and see where it goes.
Well, I mean, there's rumors and scuttlebutt that it's going to be a new type of faction. You know, whether it's the Dangerous Alliance 2.0 or it's Evolution or whatever. I think that would be sweet. I think that would be a really cool thing because we haven't had too many factions that have been, well, good. There's been a few, but I think this has got the potential to be really, really good storytelling. The classic supervillains versus superheroes. I think that certainly is something that would be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, I agree, my friend, but we'll see what happens there. Sunday night, we started off with probably the best match of the entire weekend, in my opinion. Although the Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk match was a very close number 2 for me, and that is Io Sky defeating both Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. I thought this was a great back and forth match. You know, the triple threat matches either are very bad or very good. And we had 2 very good triple threat matches in a row, my friend. Your thoughts on this match?
Within about a minute and a half of this match, I turned to my friend and said, "This is better than both the female matches on night 1."
Great.
And that was only 2 minutes, about 2 minutes into that match. That these ladies, fantastic, did a great job. Looking forward to what they do because of Raw having, kind of the whole Stephanie Vaquer and Julia and Roxanne Perez and Rhea Ripley involved. I'm looking to see how that all shakes out because I think that's got yourself some really interesting matchups and some really good storytelling again if they do things the right way with those 4 talented ladies.
I'll just say this. Io Sky going into this match was criticized by some notable wrestling names as far as not deserving to be in this match, and I just think it's absolutely ridiculous because they just wanted to see Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, and I say to that, Io Sky deserved every bit of being in this match, involved in this match, and the fact that she was given the win over these 2 really cements the fact that the company believes in her. And credit to her. I thought she did. And all 3 of the ladies deserved a lot of praise for what they did in that match. And Io retains the title going forward. So we'll see what happens there. Sin City Street Fight. This was also pretty good as Drew McIntyre defeated Damian Priest. Damian Priest was doing the Undertaker moonwalk from the top of the rope, and Drew McIntyre pushed him off, went through a couple tables, and then shortly after that finished him off. Your thoughts on the Sin City Street Fight? Again, it was a little bit homogenized when you talk about a Sin City Street Fight. I wish they would have incorporated some Las Vegas-y things like a poker table or just something more Las Vegas-y-ish in this, or maybe have done this from the Boneyard, where they have all the lights from the past as far as where they go to die. There's a place actually, the Neon Graveyard downtown where you could go ahead and do, check out all the stuff in the past. That would have been great to have it there. Your thoughts on the Sin City Street Fight?
I thought it was okay. It was Yeah, I mean, the Claymore into the chair, that was a pretty unique move. Yeah, these two, they're fine. They had a good feud going. I don't know if they're going to continue it or not, but yeah, it was good. I'd say middle of the road for a match, but still better than some of the things we saw night one.
True. Very well said indeed. Fatal four-way match. Dominic Mysterio, who was the heavy favorite, is the new champion. He defeated Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, and Penta when he defeated his Judgment Day partner, Finn Balor. It was okay for what it was, but the thing I'd give advice to Dominic Mysterio, don't ever wear those tights again. You spent half the time trying to pull those side things up on your thing, and just you every time you tried to do a move, you had to keep on pulling up your pants or your chaps or whatever on that. Yeah, don't ever wear that outfit again. I'm glad Dirty Dom is a champion, but yeah, don't ever wear that outfit again.
I'm curious to see where they go with this because I think that definitely we are getting a Judgment Day feud with Dom. Dom's probably going to be the baby face that breaks away, and personally,
Yes.
I think it
Stay
would be
dirty.
awesome.
He should stay dirty.
You think he should stay dirty?
I think he should stay dirty. I think he should stay dirty. Personally, I think
Okay.
he's best getting booed.
I could see maybe Survivor Series, Lucha Brothers, Dom and Ray versus the four other members of the Judgment Day. I mean, I could see it, but we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see, my friend. But the rest of the card, Randy Orton defeated Joe Henry. A lot of people going back and forth on this. It was great to see Joe Henry, but not great to see him get squashed in 3 minutes with Randy Orton. I thought this did more harm than good. And I thought this was basically you might have just killed off TNA in doing so. I understand that they're a second tier or third tier promotion, but having your TNA world champion going in there, it tells me that I'm assuming that WWE might have some financial interest in TNA, or just basically has a lot of sway with TNA at the very least, because they do have a cooperation agreement. But yeah, this was a squash. Joe Henry says it was a squash. It was a squash. If you take a look back at what we saw over the years in the 80s and 90s on the shows on the weekend, this was a squash. John, let me ask you, was this a bad representation for TNA, and was this a squash?
Oh, excuse me. I was late on that mute
God
button.
bless you. No worries.
I'm allergic to this match. That's what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I like the fact that it was Joe Henry. It's something different. I was looking at it from a different perspective, which we now know on Monday where they're going. But I was like, Randy Orton doesn't have anything to do now, so why not have him feud for the TNA World Title? Like, I think that would make great sense. But
I think he feels it's beneath him. So
well, and I was gonna say, and then we found out on Monday what avenue Randy Orton is going to pursue, which is fantastic. I think that will be a great couple months of in-ring action that I'm looking forward to.
Well, they could have put anyone else in that spot, and they chose Joe Henry, and they chose to squash him. And yeah, TNA, that might have been the death note for them, but we'll see. Again, Randy Orton defeated Joe Henry in a matter of 3 minutes. Your mileage may vary on that one, but now he's going to probably face off against John Cena at some point. Logan Paul defeated AJ Styles. This match was pretty good leading up to the finish. Then the finish involving Karrion Kross, one of Logan Paul's lackeys, and a brass knuckles. That was just horrible. That killed the match for me. Your thoughts on this match? Really, I'm not going to spend too much more time on it.
Yeah, same thing. I'm not a fan of these do the right thing or be evil. Like I'm not a big fan of those storylines.
Yeah, neither am I. Because AJ Styles, last we saw him, he was a heel, but now he's give me a break. All right, just yeah, it is what it is, and we'll leave it at that. Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch returning to the WWE defeated Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. This was great for all of one day because the next night they actually lose the titles, and Becky Lynch ended up betraying Lyra Valkyria. Yeah, this was just Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, if you're excited for Becky to be back, hey, she's back. She's back as a heel. Lyra Valkyria, I don't have any interest in. I mean, she already has hurt herself with her own gimmick. Why do you come in with the feathers and the wings and all that? That's just like that's that's the kind of gimmick that you're gonna have to live with for the rest of your. That's like Terry Taylor and the Red Rooster. I'm just gonna say that right there. Your thoughts on this match? Again, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. They won the titles back, so just brought
I
back Becky
thought
Lynch.
I actually didn't anticipate Becky Lynch coming. I thought that since we've already had one TNA superstar, we'd have another one. I thought Jordan Grace would be the partner of Lyra, which probably would have been better. But I don't know. I found it to be ridiculous that they had Becky Lynch. Why not just have her be the heel at WrestleMania, like after the match? But the booking on that was a little bit suspect.
Stone Cold came out in an ATV to go ahead and announce the crowd, but just before he announced the crowd, he ended up smacking one of the retainer walls, the lighted digital retainer walls. Did you notice that? If you saw that in a replay, it took the lady that. Okay, first of all, when he hit the retaining wall, there was a guy in front of him, directly where it's at. That guy didn't flinch. Somehow, the lady next to him. Which again, I don't know. Maybe again, I'm not there, so I don't have my hands on the railing, so I don't know how it is. Okay, again, I've got to give credit on that. But somehow it took an extra second and a half before the lady realized what went on, and then fell back in her seat. And of course, they had to check on her. Okay, if she's okay, I'm sure she'll sue for millions later. But your thoughts on this? I mean, in NBA terms, I would call this a flop. But I don't know if she flopped. I don't know how legit or not legit. But I mean, if you're viewing it and saw a second half delay, I'd say it was a flop. But your mileage may vary on that. I'm not going to accuse her of anything. I'm just saying what it looked like. But again, if it was legit, then I hope she's okay. Absolutely 100%. Your thoughts on Steve Austin announcing the crowd 124,000, and then before that, killing a customer or a consumer in the front row, almost, kind of. And I put that in quotations.
I'm going to use another sports
with an
ATV. I'm going to say that if this was a hockey game, there might be a penalty for embellishment.
Yeah, you noticed that too. There was we'll talk about delays here in a second with the main event, but yeah, this was like a full second half. Oh, he hit the retainer right near me. Maybe I should fall back. But the guy who actually should be affected by it the most did nothing. So that's the thing I have. It wasn't like there was a whole row that just like went back or anything. Yeah, so just if you get it out there, just tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not trying to insinuate or anything. I'm just saying on my eye test, it may look like something was, a delayed reaction, and I'll just leave it at that. But last but not least on the list, my friend, is the world title match or WWE Championship or whatever it's called. Okay, let me ask you this. Again, I've asked you this on 2 or 3 occasions already, but if it's the WWE Undisputed Championship and you've got a world championship you already, showcased this weekend, isn't that in and of itself disputing the WWE Championship if you have a world championship? I don't know. It just kind of doesn't make sense, but it is the WWE Championship. It was Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. And we have seen a lot over the years as far as 50-year-olds, late 40-year-olds still be able to work in the ring and work in the ring effectively. The Rock last year, I thought was pretty darn good in his effort at, coming in cold like that as a 50-year-old Rock. John Cena was pretty good against CM Punk at the Elimination Chamber. Can't say the same thing about this match. This match was kind of put in slow motion. I felt like if I was watching it on a VCR, I'd be watching it like at 1x speed because it was pretty darn slow. I would say that's the worst STF I've ever seen in the history of STFs I've ever seen. I mean, he had like this, in his usual normal STF stance, and literally Cody Rhodes had to try to keep on putting his head into this because his arms were so loose. Cena's arms were so loose, his head kept on popping out to try, So I'm like, oh, whatever. All right. But yes, it seemed like it moved in slow motion. And then it got even slower because Travis Scott came out, took 100 years to get out to the ring. Nobody wanted him there. No Rock there because The Rock said earlier today, as we're recording this, they said, well, he didn't want to step on John Cena's spotlight. Well, guess what? We needed him there to step on John Cena's spotlight because this match was awful, and it got even worse when Travis Scott slowly sauntered in the ring, tried to interfere. It was awkward as far as Cody Rhodes easily handing him. He was trying to push him out of the ring. Travis Scott wasn't rolling his body out of the ring. And then he gets hit with a belt shot. Well, because there was a ref bump, of course. I have to always, say that, okay, we always assume in wrestling there's going to be a ref bump in a championship match. There was a ref bump. And then he gets hit, Cody Rhodes does, with a belt shot, with a belt from John Cena. And John Cena covered him. And it took like the rest of the weekend before the ref got there. And unfortunately, we have been trained over the course of the past few years that when you have a belt shot like that, but if you take a lot of time before the ref starts counting, you're always going to kick out. This time he didn't kick out. It was absolutely not very well laid out. Having Travis Scott in there after what happened previously was absolutely an abysmal, terrible decision. And this probably goes down to me as one of the 3, 2, or even worst match I've ever seen as far as main eventing WrestleMania. This is even worse than Roman Reigns really killing Bryan Danielson and Edge. This is worse than the travesty I saw at live in Las Vegas for WrestleMania 9. This was just a bad match that got even worse with Travis Scott out there, man.
Yeah, look, I wrote down.
Can you defend it? I have nothing
to defend it other than I feel like the match should have ended after Cena did the Super AA because, again, it's his finish that he does and he wins. Mm-hmm. So if he does it from the second rope, that just logically means it should be that much more devastating. But alas, that wasn't the case. And then this Joker, who he just looks out of place. He's a $135 and he's probably like 6'2", and I've never seen somebody that thin and skinny before. And he totally screwed everything up, the finish. And yes, this minus, I kind of look at it this way. I look at the match up to the point of when Travis Scott joins the fray, so to speak. And then that's where the match, to me, just like there's two separate like things to look at there. The actual match and then the match with that idiot involved.
I just say it was a bad match. Then he gets involved and it just got worse. It went from a bad to worse. Let's just say that. To me, it went bad to worse, but that I'll just leave it with you, my friend.
Well, anyways.
Cody Rhodes, you couldn't save this one. I'm sorry, Cody.
No.
You couldn't save this one.
Well, where's Cody going to go now? Like, what are they going to do? Obviously, he's going to be gone, not in the title picture if we're going with Randy Orton. So it must be some acting gigs on the way for Cody Rhodes. So maybe.
Yeah.
I would have liked it if they really wanted to go and shock people. As I said this while we were watching the main event, is you know what I would love right now is for the Young Bucks to interfere and cost Cody the title.
Oh my God. Oh. You know what? I think Tony Khan was booking this main event because he's done such a bad job of booking main event PLEs as of late, like what you talked about with the Young Bucks. This was just absolutely just terrible. So just absolutely terrible. I mean, I have seen nothing but bad main event matches for pay-per-views as of late. I mean, the Death Riders not getting over to anyone, and yet they're still pushing it down our throats. It's just don't get me started. AEW, that's our next. We'll talk about that next time on the State of Pro Wrestling, because that's a trash show in and of itself right now as far as the way they're booking it. But you know what? WWE coming off this weekend, I have my doubts about the direction, but I can't fault what the cash register says. And the cash register says they're still printing money. And you have to laud WWE, despite my misgivings on the booking, despite my misgivings on the expense. I will go ahead and I will praise WWE because they're able to get away with it. They still have a community that's willing to travel thousands of miles, spend thousands of dollars on their product. And if you can get that, my friend, and despite all the bad booking, you still get away with it, more power to you. More power to you, John.
You said it better than anything I could say. I'm going with, yes, I agree 100%. They got the group of individuals that will come hell or high water, go see Wrestlemania or any of their products or buy any of their products or whatever.
Thank God I got mine for free. My frame I got at Matt Michaels last night for it. Between that, it's still, I saved over half off of what I would have paid if I would have gotten it without a frame at the WWE Superstore. It's just crazy.
That just blows my mind that a poster costs that much money. A poster.
This was the cheapest one. The ones with Triple H as far as his Hall of Fame poster, the ones with Io Sky and several other ladies involved. There was a couple other posters, I think. They were all more expensive. $50 for some of these posters, and I'll just leave it at that. But then again, the She shirts, they're making it. There was lines. There were people there. They were buying. I saw that the streets of Vegas, Las Vegas Strip, filled with people in brand new WWE T-shirts, all black, of course. So yeah, you might have, that's the one reason why I can't buy a lot of WWE T-shirts is because they're all black. And here in Vegas, yeah, black T-shirts do not go well in 110-degree heat here in a couple of months. So I'll leave it at that. But before we end it out, John, I know we've run over on time, but I want to go ahead for our viewing audience. Make sure we get up to date with what you're talking about with the guys from the PVD cast, and then also as well, not wrestling. I think you're gonna have to make a wrestling episode out of it. Just once on Matt Talk.
There is a wrestling episode, like season 2. There's a wrestling episode.
Oh well, there you go. There you go. Indeed.
Anyways.
So, with Matt Talk. So tell us what's up to date with Matt Talk and the PVD cast.
Well, Matt Talk is, of course, the podcast that myself and my partner Jason work on, where we take a look at an episode of the old show Matlock. We kind of dissect it, we analyze it, we poke a little fun at it. And it's a heck of a lot of good times, especially if you remember Matlock or the Andy Griffith Show, because there's a lot of crossover between the two. We'll be getting a new episode dropping here this Sunday coming up, the 27th. So,
by the way, if you're talking about the Andy Griffith Show, if you ever want to hear Ron Howard, because Ron Howard may return back to acting, he was acting in the studio on Apple TV Plus. Watch that episode. It's hilarious. Hearing Ron Howard shout out F-bombs is absolutely hilarious. Oh, because I'm thinking Opie the entire time. I'm thinking Opie, and here he is cursing out Seth Rogen. It's just hilarious. Absolutely. Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
Anyways, and for the PVD cast, well, it's the Stanley Cup playoff times, of which we already kind of talked about just a little bit there with the Vegas Golden Knights. My hockey enthusiast, my hockey guru, a good man indeed, Luke Landry, and I sit down and dissect and analyze the playoff matches, and we give our thoughts on who we think might lift Lord Stanley's Cup, and a whole host of other hockey-related content. So check it out at pvdcast.com or wherever you find great podcasts.
I'm just going to say this on the hockey. I know you guys don't have me on there because I'm not good enough on the hockey end, but I can just tell you on the Vegas Golden Knights, who's someone who monitors them greatly. I think they're a good team. I don't think they're a team that's, unless it gets advantageous for them, somehow they're able to find a pathway that's advantageous for them. They're going to go all the way. I just don't think this team is good enough. That lost 4-0 to Winnipeg at home near the end of the season, I think was really done it for me. Now, I could be proven wrong, and I want to be proven wrong because I love the Golden Knights, but I think they're a very good team. I don't think they're a great team, and I'll just leave it at that, John. So.
I think they get out of the first round, and I think that's where the train stops, so to speak.
You could be right on that. I would not disagree with you on that. But we'll see. Again, it is John Orlando. Go ahead and see what he's talking about at the PBD Cast. And, of course, at Matt Talk, talking Matlock. Not really wrestling talk, but Matt Talk indeed. But yes, go check out the studio. If you want to see Ron Howard in a different light, go ahead and check out the studio on Apple TV+. That is a hilarious show. And I'll tell you what, if that's anywhere, my time in Hollywood, I never really had a studio head as inept as Seth Rogen is on that show. And because if we did, we would be out of the business. We would have been out of business the next day. And I'll just leave it at that. But it's hilarious indeed. John, always great to have you here. We got to set up sometime soon for our thoughts on when we need to go ahead and come back for the State of Pro Wrestling for May. We should begin into sometime this year as far as what the lucha scene is like now that it's totally different with the landscape of Double E buying AAA. We might wait on that to see how this plays out, especially with their first show in June. But also as well, we need to go ahead and discuss what's going on with AEW as it gets closer to its All In. Will the Texas Hold'em pay off for them? We'll have to wait and see how that goes. WWE is announcing more shows, more PLE events, more 2-day events for SummerSlam. That's a 2-day event. They had just announced for San Diego only a 1-day event, which is surprising. The first outdoor Survivor Series, which was very interesting. There's a PLE event coming to Perth. I'm still hoping for more Saturday Night's Main Events. And yeah, just again, I still love the product. I still love watching pro wrestling, but after a weekend like this, it's just so much harder. So much harder. But I'll still go ahead and stay at it, my friend. Still go ahead and stay at it, but we'll see. John Orlando for the PBD Cast, and also as well Matt Talk. It's me, Gerald Glassford. My tag team partner is John. I'm Gerald. Thanks again for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe to what we do here at Matt Talk, at also as well the PBD Cast, Lakers Fast Break, and of course the State of Pro Wrestling right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PBD Cast. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ding, ding, ding.
It's time for the State of Pro Wrestling, scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. And now, from parts unknown, your tag team champions of the world, John Orlando for the PVD Cast and Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos.